Good evening, everyone, and welcome. Please stand for the pledge and remain standing. Thank you. Please stay standing for a moment of silence. Thank you. Okay, roll call, please.
Mayor Dickey,
Here.
Vice Mayor Friedel,
Present.
Councilmember McMahon, here. Councilmember Charno, Councilmember Magazine,
Here.
Councilmember Spellich,
Present.
Councilmember Grzybowski.
Present.
Thank you. I think that Mike is here, or at least.
He may be muted, so we might want to remind him about that, because I think he connected.
Okay, thank you. Mike, you might be muted. Are you there? Well, I'm sure when he comes in, he'll let us know. Thank you. Welcome, everyone. As always, we start with our reports from our manager and our council. Grady?
The only report I have is I'm very happy to introduce Amanda Jacobs, our new Economic Development Director. I asked her just to come up and make a few introductory remarks. Welcome, Amanda.
Hello, Mayor, members of the council, staff, members of the audience. As Mr. Miller mentioned, my name is Amanda Jacobs. I'm your new Economic Development Director. I come to you with over 19 years experience in local government. I worked with the town of Oro Valley. Some folks don't know where that is. It's just 3 miles north of Tucson. And majority of my career was spent in economic development, so attracting clean business industry to our bioscience corridor, building a robust business retention. It really starts there, right, with the businesses that are already here, marketing, and of course, tourism. While I was working full-time, I obtained both my bachelor's and master's degree in business administration. And the last 2 years was actually spent working on our council strategic leadership plan, and then our town manager launched a new initiative, Lean Process Improvement. So I'm a Lean Six Sigma black belt, but I'll wait. I know, right? I'll wait to start making a whole bunch of changes, but already starting to meet with our residents, our regional partners, and I look forward to meeting you guys over the next couple of weeks.
Thank you so much. We're very happy you're here.
Thank you.
Appreciate
Thank you,
it.
Amanda.
Anything else, Grady?
That's all I have, Mayor. Thank you.
Councilwoman?
Attended that fun Irish festival on Saturday, and it was great. There was a lot of people there, and it was great to see the fountain turn green.
I was also at the Irish Fest and attended a couple of other ribbon cuttings for the chamber, including the Havenly development that we have in town. If you haven't been there, get in there for a tour. It's a very nice facility, a nice product in there. Thank you.
Thank you.
Of course I do. I attended the groundbreaking for the Fountain of Light, and there was one legislative update call. We got canceled this week because there wasn't a lot going on. Actually, Councilman Charno emailed me to make sure that I was okay since I was missing my big nerdy call. Also, last week I attended the Broadband Task Force call, and this weekend my husband and I both worked one of the entrances for the Irish Festival. And it sounds like not only were there record sales, but they counted about 8,000 people in attendance, which is pretty darn big, so that's kind of exciting.
Wow, thank you. We appreciate all of our volunteers that were there. It was a great day, great party, and then Thursday, the fountain will turn green again, and we'll have our green lights on in the evening. So we look forward to that, actual St. Patrick's Day. Mike, did you want to talk about the high school? Are you there, Mike? Shoot, I don't even know if he's there.
He's having problems getting in, so he said he'll keep trying.
Okay, well, on behalf of him, so the coalition had an essay contest over at the high school, so it was my honor to go and meet the students and to recognize them for their essays. The Fountain of Light groundbreaking, Fountain Hills Cares, we did our planning meeting for our upcoming April. We'll talk more about that, but we'll be talking about dementia and other issues like that. Had Zoom calls with Senator Kelly's and Cinema's office and former Mayor Mitch Landrieu in New Orleans, talking about the infrastructure bill. We still don't know exactly how that's going to look for us, but Arizona will be getting, billions of dollars, and it'll come to cities for our infrastructure projects, which could be anything from, roads to the fountain liner we're looking at. So there's some opportunities there. Senate Commerce, I'll talk about, well, I don't need to talk about it later. I'll talk about this 2275, which was a bill that we talked about condominiums being dismantled. And that did get through commission to the Senate Commerce, and all of our reps and senators voted yes on that. So we hopefully will see that come to fruition. GPEG, the Greater Phoenix Economic Council, had their mayor and supervisor quarterly meeting. The Canadian-Arizona Business Council, we had our quarterly meeting, and of course the Havenly was a really wonderful event. So there's a lot going on. That's the way it is usually in the spring in Fountain Hills, so pretty exciting. Speaking of exciting, our next item are our recognition of our stellar students. So what we do is I read your name and I read some things that your teacher said about you, and then Angela has your certificate, so I'll read it from up here. When I read your name, come up, she'll give it to you, and then we'll get a picture taken, okay? So as always, we start with McDowell Mountain, and our first student is Sydney Hagerman. Sydney here? Hey, hi, come on up, get your certificate. Sydney is a great example of a stellar student. She always does her best. I love to see her helping others when there is a need. She works hard in her classes and is a good example for other students. Sydney excels in music class, especially when we're getting ready to perform. She jumps right in, takes on the challenge of performing in front of an audience, and shines in her enthusiasm when singing and dancing. She is a superb candidate for this award. All right, Sydney. You stay right there, and we'll take a picture. Next is Matthew Nunez. Matthew? Yay. So Matthew is a stellar student in the music classroom as well as around the whole school. He's always trying his best, and he's willing to step up and help others. Matthew is kind and very helpful to everyone around him. I enjoy Matthew as he is willing to help in my music room with whatever task we have to do. Matthew is a great candidate for this award. Yay, Matthew. Next, we go to the middle school, and we have Mia Junk. Mia, are you here? Yay. So I've noticed the teachers in the higher classes are a little more brief. Mia is a ray of sunshine in our school. She always has a smile on her face and is willing to help out all of her peers. She's respectful and kind, and a great example of the type of students we strive for every day here at Fountain Hills Middle School. Let's hear for Mia. Next is Jaden Pena. Jaden, are you here? Yay. Jaden is having a great year here at Fountain Hills Middle School. He has found a role as a Falcon leader and helps to promote our PBIS pillars around the school. Jaden is doing a great job in classes and continues to push himself to be the best he can. All right, Jaden. Oh, I see a baby back there. Okay, now we're with the high school. We have Hannah Mowers. Hannah, are you here? Well, we'll read about her anyway, all right? Hannah is a great, well-rounded young lady. She cares about her schoolwork, has a part-time job, dances competitively, and is part of the Fountain Hills High School POM team. Hannah is always respectful and kind to everyone around her. So let's clap for Hannah. And last is Tori Johnson. Tori here? All right, Tori. Tori Johnson is a great example of the Falcon Way at Fountain Hills High School. Tori is respectful, kind, and always so helpful, and he is a wonderful student to have in class. That's Tori. Get you guys on the times, huh? The camera.
Up here on three. 1, 2, 3. One more. On three. 1, 2, 3.
Thank you. Thank you. We're still having some technical difficulties getting Mike here. First, he couldn't hear us, and then now we can't hear him, or vice versa. Should we go on with the, okay. Oh, hi, hey. Did you have a report, Mike, of your activities? We can hear you.
No report at this time, but I can hear you and everything's good, so.
Thank you, Mike. So I think we're going to hear from MCSO.
Yes, I'd like to call upon Lieutenant Jonathan Halverson. He's going to be speaking on behalf of Captain Kratzer, who cannot be here tonight, and we'll be giving you your monthly report. So with that, I'll turn it over to Lieutenant Halverson.
Hello, Mayor, members of the council, staff. My name's Jonathan Halverson. I am the acting division commander currently for Fountain Hills. I'll be giving you the monthly update. Unfortunately, Captain Kratzer can't be here. He's never replaceable. However, I'll do my very best. We anticipate him coming back in April, which would be outstanding for us. I have never done an update before, so I will try and make it meaningful, but I also want to give you some behind-the-scenes look at some of the operations we've had with MCSO to give you an idea of what your law enforcement agency is for you and how that may be different than elsewhere. There are 2 cases that I wish to discuss, and I'm going to talk a little bit about the detectives that work the case so you can see how it pertains to you and how they do what they do. District 7, which is Fountain Hills, is a little bit different than other locations. The people who work here are extremely experienced, or they are very brand new. This is becoming a training district for the office because of those who work here have the capacity and the knowledge to do things that is not found elsewhere. The first case I want to brief you on is one that occurred on February the 6th, and that was a break-in to Fountain Hills Bike. We all remember this one. This is one where we had a very expensive bike that was stolen, between $5,000 and $7,000. I responded to the scene along with patrol. We contacted the detective unit, which responded to the scene as well. That's something that is not traditionally done in a town for that value of loss. The detective unit did an outstanding job. They contacted the crime lab. Crime lab responded, took DNA blood samples from the scene, and they put that in for analysis. We received a rapid DNA hit off those blood samples. My background with the office for 18 years is violent crime, homicide, organized crime, murder for hire. I'm used to seeing those sorts of resources applied to that level. However, we were fortunate to have it applied to this. We received a rapid DNA hit, which identified a suspect, and this is where Fountain Hills is a little bit different. We own our operations and we magnify our calling as law enforcement professionals. After identifying the suspect, we reached out to a neighboring agency just across the border. We developed work with them, trust leads, and we worked as a team to push our suspect back over to our side of the line, where he was ultimately arrested after confessing to the crime. Ladies and gentlemen, Fountain Hills is a very special place for us. Those that work here own their work. They magnify their calling. They build relationships of trust. They build working opportunities to always make things better. That happened in this case. Those detectives under Sergeant Broadwater were Detective Roberts, Detective Garcia, Detective Bowers. All are very experienced. All sacrifice considerable amount of time, even for a case which I will say is a small case. But what it goes to show is that in Fountain Hills, the MCSO really does go the extra mile to be thorough, accurate, and complete. The second case is one that occurred at Four Peaks Park, where the bathrooms were destroyed by some suspects. We reviewed surveillance footage and determined from the surveillance footage 2 girls were the ones that committed this. We contacted the school resource officer, Deputy Hampton. She is exceptionally engaged in her work as a school resource officer. Once again, she magnifies her calling as a law enforcement officer. She's thorough. She doesn't just take things and sit, she actively works. Deputy Hampton recognized the girls. She conducted an interview. Both of those girls confessed to the crime. So, while these efforts may be small, they do go to show the work product and the work ethic of these deputies. And I really want to thank you for the opportunity to help show you what's going on behind the scenes. Fountain Hills is an exceptional place. Like I mentioned, it's a training district now, which we're all very proud of. To give you a sort of a small staff update, we are receiving a new officer in training at the end of this month, which we are hoping to keep when he's completed with his training. We are also receiving, I received notification earlier today, another lieutenant. He will serve as our nighttime watch commander. He'll be here on April the 4th. He's going to be newly promoted to lieutenant from sergeant. We served years together quite a long time ago when I was a watch commander on the west side and he was a patrol sergeant out there. So I do feel very grateful for what we have, and I'm glad Larry's coming back soon. But if there are any questions I can answer for you, please let me know. But I hope that this gives you kind of a little bit of an insight behind the scenes.
Thank you very much. Alan, Councilman.
Yeah, thank you. That was an excellent presentation. And I understand Captain Kretzer has had COVID. I hope he's doing well. You look surprised when I say that.
He has something different, sir. But
Oh,
he is doing well.
Oh,
Captain Kratzer, I can tell you, is extremely excited to come back. He's doing everything he can to diligently decrease that time. Once again, he, like the rest of us, feel very fortunate to be posted to Fountain Hills. And we recognize his absence and we can feel his absence as well.
I do have a question. It sounds like it took a fair amount of manpower, person power, to identify the person who stole a $7,000 bike.
Yes.
And so my question is, how do you triage these things? Why put so much manpower into that when there are so many other kinds of incidents like the ones you have covered for 18 years, murders and so on? How do you make that determination?
Experience, sir. Fountain Hills has every type of crime, like every other jurisdiction does. Fountain Hills is not special in it by any means. But what is a blessing in Fountain Hills is the operations tempo and the experience of those who work here. High level of experience combined with a medium operations tempo allows us to do a better job on each individual case. That is in part why it's a training district. We're able to have a deputy come, take a case, and as a deputy, work that case from start to finish so he understands how his decisions and how his actions right now affect the downrange prosecutability of the case. So the way we're able to do that, sir, is we've been doing it for a very long time. We're very fast. And while there are other cases as well of equal or greater value, we're able to maintain our own because the detectives themselves are extremely efficient. And I might add, there are a lot of resources that Fountain Hills enjoys that certain city agencies do not. One of those is a crime lab and the rapid DNA.
We're lucky to have you all. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So I've known Lieutenant Halverson now for 3 years, and we hit it off right away because we were both homicide detectives. But I wanted to say that we didn't have Lieutenant Halverson for over a year, and we got him back, and we are so lucky to have him back here in Fountain Hills. On a personal note, 2 weeks ago, a friend of mine asked me to pick him up at the airport, and I took his car, and I broke down on the B line at 10 o'clock at night, not able to turn the emergency flashers on or anything. The car was completely dead. I called you at 10 o'clock at night. You picked up the phone, and you had somebody there. Let me tell you, when you break down on the B line at 10 o'clock at night, people pass you at 100 miles an hour. It is extreme pucker factor. So thank you so much. That was a new sergeant that came.
Yes.
His name was?
Sergeant Acedu.
What a nice guy. And we're happy to have you back. Property crimes are very hard to solve. The worst 4 months on the job was as a property crimes detective. So I didn't like it too much, but they're hard to solve, and great job, and I'm really happy that you're back, and thoughts and prayers to Captain Kratzer.
Thank you, sir.
Great report, thank you. I think it's important that you did share that with the public too, so that they do know that there are resolutions to these cases. So thanks for sharing that.
Thank you, sir.
It's very true, because, for everybody that's going through something, it's really important to them. And so to get that attention and the feeling that we have here of security in our town is something that we're all very grateful for, especially now. And thank you. Do you have any questions for us?
I do not.
Phew. Thank you. Appreciate it very much. We have another presentation now. Grady, Bo?
Yes, we're going to have Community Relations Manager Bo Larson come up and give a presentation. For the past year, last summer, Bo came up and developed a communication strategic plan and also a citizen engagement program. So he's going to be presenting those. We're going to bring these back to you at a later time for your consideration of possible adoption. But I think that you recall looking at the citizen survey that we had recently, communications was an area that the pollster indicated if we improved in this area, this would be an area that we'd probably see improvement in other areas as well. So I think it's very important, and as we start talking about citizen engagement, I just think that that really demonstrates that if we do it effectively, there's a lot more trust in our government, there's a lot more ability for us to reach people. Our goal with our communication strategic plan is that within 5 years, when you see a survey again, we hope that people get most of the information about the town from the town. We certainly want them to continue looking at resources like the Fountain Hills Times and other tools that they might be accustomed to, but that this is going to be how we gauge ourselves in our areas of improvement. With that, I'll turn it over to Mr. Lystrom.
Thank you, Mr. Miller, and thank you, Mayor and Council. This communications plan isn't a knee-jerk reaction from a survey. This is something we've been doing over the past year, and the timing is great to present it now. So everything I'm talking about tonight will be something that my department, me, has been doing over the past year. So, oops. And the first thing we need to do is learn how to push buttons. So the key goals of this communications plan is really a four-part series. But number one, which is really the top goal for all of this, is to establish the town of Fountain Hills as the primary source, as Mr. Miller said, for the town news, meaning the town of Fountain Hills, emergency communications and information on events. And I'm so glad that I was out of town when we had the fiesta, or the Irish Fest this weekend, and I'm glad that communications had a role in helping to make that a positive event. Another goal is to inform, educate, and engage residents and stakeholders about our responsibilities, department responsibilities, the services, the activities, and results that we do. And this is something that we continually will strive to be absolutely effective with on everything we do. Of course, you know, as we move along, there's always mistakes that happen, but we learn from mistakes and we try to rectify those and just keep plugging away. Number 3, to inform about the elected officials and town leadership about town projects, incidents, and potential and current media coverage. You are the key voice for your constituents. Many people reach out to you to find out what's going on, and it's my role, as well as Mr. Miller's, to keep you informed as best we can. And we want to make sure that you didn't hear this from other people first. Our goal is to make sure you're the first to hear about it. And then also to inform, educate, and engage town employees. Employees are sometimes the most important marketing tool and communications tool because they're on the street. They're the ones that are meeting with residents on a daily basis, much more so than many of you and us. So as long as, if they are informed and up to speed on all that we are doing, we are a step ahead in communicating with the public. So to help achieve these goals, there's a lot of different things we need to do. And I'm going to show you later on, you know, the social media and all this thing, but this is the general of what we're trying to achieve. We need to raise public awareness of decisions made by the town council and town manager using multiple communication channels. This is through not only our Fountain Hills Times, it's not only through area media, but social media, our Channel 11, our Fountain Hills Insider, all the informational tools that we have at our disposal. Crisis communications and planning. We are entering into the fire season, which is something that this town has been through on several times over the course of the history of this town. And it's not just fires, it's flooding and other significant events. It's critical that people know that they're getting information that is accurate and timely. It's not only for their safety and well-being, but for the future of what they need to do. What if there's something that is an evacuation? What if there's a public safety dealing with MCSO and people need to be in a lockdown event? And it's critical that through this program of crisis communications that they know where they can go get that news. It could be through Code Red, it could be through our social media, through our homepage of the website, and they know that it was posted, let's say, 10 minutes ago, because everything that I will post in a crisis communications will have a date stamp, so they know that it's the latest information. And it's important to keep people informed through these times. This is the most critical time of communications and what people rely on the most. Make sure that our website is up to date. Social media, printed newsletters, and all the news media are current with the information that we have. And again, this is something that sometimes there's a miss, but we try to make up for it in many of our outlets that we have. We're not just a one-stop or one location where people find information. We are trying to spread our wings with all, as I spread my wings, with all the opportunities for people to get the news from the town of Fountain Hills. And that includes word of mouth. You know, it's making sure that when people are sharing their word of mouth comments, they got it from somewhere that was accurate and correct. So that's something that we want to make sure. We want to create those circles of influence that can share with their neighbors and friends. As you know, we stream our town council meetings. This isn't something new at all, but we are trying to be more aggressive in the sense of types of things we're putting on Channel 11, showing more videos from other agencies as well, that it's informative, making sure that we have a much more robust slideshow, let's say. But it is a resource for news and information that people can look upon and depend upon for news of things that are upcoming, and even results of some things. Like as streets start getting repaired and as the Streets Committee does their job, there'll be opportunities to tell those stories. Channel 11 and YouTube, with the videos we create in our department, will also, you know, help tell and share that story. Of course, always respond in a timely manner to media and public records requests. We've gotten great play. I shared with you today the story on the Weather Channel about the greening of the fountain. That was, you know, from pushing out media relations, but we've also had great response from last year, the total eclipse, a lunar eclipse, I came here at 2 in the morning to videotape the fountain and the moon, and we got play all over the world for that as well. And it's taking advantage of what we have to offer in this town, which is just, one of the most incredible, beautiful towns in all the Southwest, not just Arizona, and sharing that on multiple levels as much as possible. Of course, utilizing all the technology that we have, video, digital, to enhance the content that we have with communications. It's no longer just a press release that we send out. It has to be so much more because the media is looking for so much more because they want to use it in their smaller newsrooms. I know the Fountain Hills Times here, will even agree that, they need all the information they can get from all the resources they can get so they can share on their digital media when the opportunity arises. The Arizona Republic at one time 15 years ago had about 800,000 subscribers. It's down maybe less than 200,000. I'm sure it's less than 200,000 now. Times have changed, but things have gone more digital. And I'm making sure that we are communicating as best as possible in the digital role. We produce and design as much as possible internally. Printed materials, but we want to make sure it's effective printed materials. These things like the Fountain Hills Insider, flyers that we produce for special events. The community services does an awful lot of print material as well. We don't print as much as we used to, but we want to make sure that whatever we do is fresh, looks good. The annual report is an example of something we put together. When I say we, I sound like I need help, don't I? Me, myself, and Irene. And then for each one of our, when I say clients, departments and projects, when there's a special program going on, working with the department to make sure that they have a communications plan just to help tell their story and get the word out because it makes it stronger for communicating with residents, and it's important for that department to also be recognized when we're sharing that type of information. And of course, if you ever have the opportunity that you need to speak in front of a camera, the department is always ready for you to help you with that, with media coaching and even any writing to help you and support. I know the mayor and I are working on an environmental Earth Day presentation, and so we'll be going back and forth on a script for that shortly. So it's those types of things that we offer that, again, that we share with not only here locally, but statewide to share the story of Fountain Hills. So, as I said, one of the key goals is crisis communications, and we need to be the key resource for people because we can provide the most timely information and the most accurate as it occurs. And that's the role of this department, as well as making sure that you're informed so you have that role as well of sharing with your constituents. We use a variety of social media, as you've seen. This year we added Instagram. When I say this year, I'm going to call it 2021. And that's taking off well. I think, I didn't check today, but I know we were like 700 just last week, I think is where I hit 700. And so I'll go look to make sure I'm not, giving a wrong number, but I know it's up there, and which is a great start. It's also showing how a lot of things have changed. Facebook used to be the king, and now it's still up there, but Instagram's important. Nextdoor is important. LinkedIn's important. We're getting a lot of play, and we're growing in all these social media, and that's one of the things that I want to make sure that we do is I don't like coming in second place to a lot of other towns, so I work hard to make sure we have the best. As I told the media relations, I want to make sure that if we have a story that the media wants, I know how to get it to them, and I just want to make sure that they do take advantage of what we're offering them. And so I'm always working with our departments to make sure, what type of stories do you have? What is almost like an angle sometimes to make sure that is something that will get covered by the media, not just in Fountain Hills, for the Fountain Hills Times, but in the regional as well. As I mentioned, the digital management. This past year, we redesigned, Mike Chicarone and I and others redesigned, we had a team, redesigned the website using our vendor, Civic Plus, and I think it's worked out really well for what we've needed to do. And again, it's the first face that many people see when they see Fountain Hills, and so you can see that upper banner I change out the visuals frequently, and as you can see, the greening of the fountains on there because that's the season that we're in. So it's a great marketing tools to have a strong website. Community relations, getting out and about. I've done a couple of these presentations just talking about, this was around the history of Fountain Hills at the time, so I spoke to a couple of our senior centers. But this is something that always reaching out and pushing for opportunities to speak to groups as well about, because I am becoming more and more of a knowledgeable voice for the town, and I want to make sure, I know you do that as well, but if there's opportunities where if I hear of something that may be worth reaching out to say, hey, here's an opportunity to get out and speak to residents of the town. Employee communications, this is fairly new. Over the past year, we started a new digital online newsletter for all employees, and it goes out monthly, and we try to fill it up with all the news that is either past or current, employee functions like health information, even recipes, and just try to keep them engaged. And we're seeing more and more engagement with this on a monthly basis. It goes out to 86 people, I think it is, and I'm not sure, I believe you're on the list as well. And so, but we're getting quite a few. You're not? See? Maybe okay, I'll double check. And please open, because that's the key with any good communications. You need to look at it. So it's a two-way street. I try to tell residents that all the time. And then the citizen engagement process. Grady mentioned this, talking about effective government is a strong understanding from the residents of what's going on and learning how the town works and things that are going on. And this is one of the things that we'll be working very strong and effectively on this next year as well. We want to make sure that we're getting the word out, not just about events and things like that, but when we're talking about policy, either things that are being worked on, or those that have been approved that are going to make a difference in people's lives, making sure we get the word out and properly explain it from the town of Fountain Hills. And the button, there we go. And this will give you an idea of the plan, and it's in your packet as well. But we want to make sure that residents are connected to key policy and election issues. Major and minor policy. Now, what's that? Minor policies are kind of the, let's say, the run-of-the-mill things that we pass once in a while that, or you pass, I should say, that don't necessarily make the news, but they're important. Policy is an important thing to do, but a major policy, be it like the signed ordinance or something like that, that's a major one. And so it's making sure that we're effectively communicating as the process goes along so people know where it is. So it's not information that's, in a sense, being started off as a raspberry, ended up as a strawberry type of story down the path. Bond referendums, if we have them, how do we properly communicate that so people are informed and educated of what they mean and how bonds work, as well as the budget process adoption and updates, so people are always in the loop on what's going on. And increasing our visual content library, we've since I've been here, we've probably quadrupled the amount of photographs in our library right now. Just because I try to get out, my team and I, get out and shoot as much as possible. We also did hire a photographer last year to come to rebuild some of the assets that we had, because the last time we had a professional photographer that I saw, at least in my research, was about 2016, 2017, 18 time. And so things have changed. And so brought someone out last year just to get kind of the great shots that a professional photographer can add. And again, just trying to cover as much as possible from the recycling event to panorama to one of our sheriffs out there. We told the story of one of our deputies. And so it's important that we have this available, and it's not just available just for the Department of Communications to use, it's available for all departments to use as they need them. And so we've developed on one of our servers the ability for people to get in there, grab the photo they need, and they have it for their own personal, or their own communications within that department. And so every good plan needs some measurement. And so did we increase awareness? Did we increase engagement? Well, that should be on top, maybe. Did we provide access? Do we have transparency? And are we reinforcing the credibility? And so we have some basic measurement tools, and it's part of the process, as Mr. Miller was saying, that we're going to see, the next time we see a survey, we're going to see our numbers and communications go up. And, and that communications is affected by so many things. It's affected by time. It's affected even by national media sometimes. So it's important that we're laying the groundwork. In next year, if we did a survey, those numbers I know would be higher, and so on and so on. And our goal is to be, I'm not going to put a percentage number on it, but we want to be considered the #1 resource for town information. No offense to the Fountain Hills Times, but coming in within 5 years. So, thank you.
Bo, I've complimented you a number of times because I think you're doing a terrific job.
Well, thank you.
You're incredibly ambitious. But I have a concern. I'm concerned that you're setting yourself up for failure. Because when I look at this and see how many goals and tasks there are and so on, I just don't see how one person can begin to do it. So I want to ask you if you would consider the following. Doing a Cliff Notes version of this, where you identify a goal and the 2 most important things under that goal that you think you're going to accomplish. And the next goal, same thing, because you're setting yourself up to be measured against all this. Mm-hmm. And I know you work tremendous hours and you do a great job, but I don't think it's realistic. This is a comprehensive analysis, a comprehensive program. I think it's terrific. I wish we could do all of it. I just don't believe it.
Thank you, Mr. Magazine, Councilmember Magazine. And
I believe he can do it, and I have a lot of faith and confidence in him. No, I do. And the reason why is a lot of what you see listed there is already being done. So, I appreciate your concern bringing that up. Bo's also run a very similar program in another city that didn't have a lot of staff. It was a larger city, but had a few more staff, but a lot of it he feels like he can do. And if we do need to have some additional resources for, like he mentioned, a professional photographer, or if there's some other resources, like when he puts together our Fountain Hills Insider newsletter, there is an actual person that does the layout for that, actually does the graphics and all that. So he's writing the stories for sure, and that certainly takes a lot of effort. And he's working and coordinating that with all the departments. But I feel very strongly that this is something he can do, and we've talked about it, and I'm one that likes to give employees the opportunity to try to succeed, and I don't think this is an undue burden that he's just presented to you.
And let me suggest one other thing then. Perhaps we could get a quarterly report, a quarterly progress report on the various things that you've presented to us, so we can get some idea as to how you're doing, where some of the problems might be, how we might fix some of those problems. I think that would be helpful.
Good suggestion, and I think that's always something good to do. So we will take that and come back to you at a later time. Thank you.
Bo, keep doing a good job. I can't think of communications that have been better with the town. So I appreciate all your updates and your different stories of interest too. So keep going.
Thank you, Mayor. Sorry, I almost demoted you. Thank you, Mayor. So, Bo, how long have you worked for us?
Year and a half.
Okay. I've never complimented you. Till today.
Oh, thank you.
If you remember the first time we met, you came bounding up to me, "Hi, Councilman, I'm the new media guy." I go, "I hate the media."
Yeah.
You were like, "Wow." At a media and I don't get along. But anyways, this is really well put together, and I am super impressed. I'm in my 4th year, thank God. I can tell you that in the first year coming on the council versus what it is now, the communication is off the chart. And really get a lot of good feedback from residents about how they feel more informed of that just in the amount of time you've been here. so I'm done blowing smoke up your skirt. I'm going to go on to what I think is really important, is I would love the council and the mayor to really consider this emergency hotline that you have listed in the packet that said that if developed, this will allow residents who do not subscribe to digital resources to call a dedicated phone number with a recorded message for Curtin. As you know, we have aging demographics in town. No offense. And some of them, some of them complain about, I'm not on this, and I'm not on this platform, and I'm not on this, and I think it would be excellent to have this. I really do. If we're going to have a study and it's going to cost $26,000, I'm against the hotline.
I already have a phone number.
You already have the phone number? Is it a boatload of money?
No, it's free.
It's free.
Yeah.
I am for this 150% and couldn't be more.
It has your voicemail on it.
You got jokes. I love it. But no, I think it's great. And really, on a serious note, I really appreciate what you've done. The difference in a year and a half ago to what it is now, it's night and day.
Thank you very much.
Okay, well, he stole pretty much everything I was going to say, so ditto, 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 ditto. Seriously, the amount of communication difference that I have seen since you've been on board and how open you are to talking to us about it, the changes on the website have been fantastic, and I appreciate the good sport that you are every time I send you an email that says this link doesn't work, or it sends me to some random something.
I fix it.
And then, of course, the chair of the MMPC bent my ear one time and gave me crap about trailblazing. I don't know, I just sicked him on you. And I didn't even email you, and I apologize for that. I just sicked him on you, and you were a good sport about that. But seriously, ditto what these guys said. Leaps and bounds. I hear people talking more about what they've heard as opposed to what they feel like they're missing. So thank you, we appreciate you.
Thank you very much.
Mike, did you have anything?
Yeah, thank you, Madam Mayor. Certainly want to echo everything that's been said so far, and having been on the other side of the fence for many years and having dealt from the media standpoint, trying to get information from the town. We had a PIO years ago, caused more difficulties than helped out, but it's truly been, as David said, a good transformation in the last year and a half, and appreciate everything Bo has done and will continue to do.
Thank you, Councilman. So I think, like David, you're right. When we first started talking about having this kind of a position, you were like, it's our job. You're right. It's not just one person's job, it's all of our jobs. One of the things that's really happened is with the Instagram and that being on these things is being able to repost what you do rather than always trying to make it up myself or do I have a picture. When you talk about the last year and a half, it is night and day. I mean, and this isn't like to be upset or complain, but when the fires were happening a year and a half ago, Grady and I were, every Sunday morning early, just like, what do we do? What do we do? The idea that we have somebody that I can copy on emails where I was normally asking one thing or the other that I know I can get help with. Boys and Girls Club, Fort McDowell, East Valley Partnership, Hip Historian, all these things that I've been writing. And the idea that now it's like, I was just like, hey, Bo, guess what? And then you talk to staff if it's about, economic development, and we get this stuff about the hospital, and we're just, the facts. The website, we're still working on making it more searchable when it comes to, like looking for minutes, putting something in. Those are things that we'll always try to do. The contact information is so much more apparent. And what you said about the like kind of the code red almost thing, we were talking a lot about having an after hours number, something, so that when somebody's like freaking out about one thing or another, there's something that they can do. This is such an amazing step to take. What the pandemic now, hopefully in the rearview mirror, one of the things that we had done was these Town Talk Tuesdays where I would have 2 council people at a time, so we wouldn't be more than 3. I like to start that up again. That's an informal way to communicate with people and really let them set the agenda. So we can start doing that. That's another one of those things that's our responsibility. I don't know whose idea that the email distributions are, that we're, you know, whether it's community services or a flood or, you know, whatever, people can sign up and get, I've been almost getting an email every day about one thing or another, you know, whether it's really happy things, road closures, you know, all those things. Everybody can sign up for that. You know, email is fairly well, you know, everybody has email almost. The Times has been such a huge resource. I mean, the census, or I mean, not the census, the survey said that it was the #1 source, and the ability to talk a lot with them and have them, you and them communicate all the time has just been invaluable. The talk about the word of mouth, you know, being able to say like, yes, you know, that is going to happen. That's going to happen. But like Sharon was saying, you know, we're all on this social media, and if we can hone in on, well, really, well, here's that, here's the minutes, here's what happened. It is night and day, I really have to say. So just so pleased with what we've been able to do. Bo has those contacts too, like for the greening or these things that happen here that we know, the Pony Express, it's like, oh, this is so awesome. Who do you tell? Oh, I know, someone, channel this, whatever. It's really been above and beyond. And I look forward to all of the things that, I agree, you can accomplish and you will accomplish, but you won't do it alone, I swear. And the public has responsibility too. And if we're all kind of reaching in the same direction, I think we're going to get very far, so.
Yeah, we are. And
Yes.
Did I vote against his position?
No, I don't think so.
If I did, I'm sorry.
No.
you made up for it.
I like you now. It's
No.
money, you know, I'm cheap, I like to save money.
No, I don't think you did, but it was like at the, no, it was at the retreat, you know, when we talked about getting a community service, and you said it's up to us to be our own communications, and you were right about that. But now we've got Bo.
Well, thank you very much, and I do appreciate your comments, Councilmember Magazine. And I feel fortunate that, you know, I do have over 30 years' experience that helps me understand. And as Mr. Miller said, I'm doing all of this already. This plan was more of like, well, I do this, and I do this, and I do this. So it's, you know, yes, there's times where it's kind of like, oh, I didn't do that today. You know, we all have that. But we have, I think, using this plan and the engagement plan as well is a good starting roadmap for accomplishing communication goals for the town.
Mayor.
Yes, sir.
I would also like to say thank you. It's always a pleasure to deal with you. You are so professional and so caring and love this town. And your vivaciousness for your job is apparent in the high level of communication that you have achieved for the council, the town staff, and our community. And I'm on it, and thank you.
Thank you. Do I get my update yet?
Well, I want to make sure I want to make sure I'm not misunderstood.
No, I
think I agree with everything that's been said, and I've told you personally.
Yep.
I think you've done a great job. I worry about you a little bit.
I'm still young and agile, so.
So I keep on doing what you've been doing. I agree the citizens are reacting to it. I'm astonished at all the things I see on TV, and you send out emails notifying us of different things. And I don't know how you do it, but I'm pleased. And, you know, Grady, I think, will indicate that starting about 3 years ago, I went after Grady, and I said, Grady, we've got to have a public affairs person. And I kept pushing and pushing. So you can thank me for your job.
I do, every day. And you're more than welcome to do a ride-along with the PIO some night, so, yeah. Yeah, right
Yeah.
along, yes.
Oh,
yeah,
very good.
I wish I was funny.
I wish I was funny. Thank you so much, Bo.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Our next item is call to the public. Do we have cards?
We do have one from Crystal Kavanaugh.
I mean, come on, you'd feel bad if there were none. Well, good evening. I was fortunate enough to go to Planning and Zoning last night and witness the drafting of the revised ordinances to update the current group home code. And a lot of time, process, and effort has gone on over this past year to get to this point. I've been one of a much bigger group of concerned citizens who have been involved in this journey since early 2021. Those of us who've been involved in bringing our concerns to the town staff, town council, the state, and the public have been asking for real tools to assist Fountain Hills in regulating transitional recovery homes to protect our quality of life. The ordinances that Planning and Zoning are recommending to this council for an April 5th vote are solid, well-written, and fair. They provide the much-needed balance and criteria to help protect our community from negative effects. These ordinances address the very real and reasonable concerns from this community. They are well-researched and substantiated. I want to extend a big thank you to the Planning and Zoning Commission and also to Development Services, John, for their much-needed efforts. They really are appreciated. And I urge the Town Council to pass these just as they were written and recommended unanimously by the Planning and Zoning Commissioners. Thank you.
Next, we have our consent agenda. Dave?
Madam Mayor, I will abstain from voting on item 7D, which is the extension of premises for the Elks Lodge due to the fact that I'm a member.
Thank you.
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank
Aye.
you. Oh, thanks, Mike. Okay, our first item is the City of Tempe Veterans Court. Grady?
Yes, I'm going to call on our court administrator, Joanna Elliott. She's going to come up and provide a little bit of a description of this before you. It's an innovative program. I think it's exciting. This was originally going to be something on the consent agenda, but because we have a number of veterans in town, I thought this was a feel-good thing that I thought Joanna would do a good job of describing. So with that, I'll turn it over to Ms. Elliott.
Thank you, thank you. Well, good evening to all. And I am happy to introduce this as a veteran myself, so. So we currently or have been in partnership with City of Tempe among most of the East Valley municipal courts regarding Veterans Court. Essentially, when we receive a case and it has a veteran on it sometimes, at the request of them or their attorney, we do refer them to Veterans Court. And City of Tempe has done a great job with partnering with the Department of Veteran Affairs to give them the resources that a lot of times courts can't provide. You know, inpatient care, counseling, a lot of different resources. And we are asking that we continue that partnership with them. And right now, we currently have about $650 budgeted per year. We have not referred more than, I would say, I got numbers this morning. Since 2018, we've only referred 3 cases, so it's not a lot, but it is very effective. So the 3 that we have referred have at least been successful. We have one person going through it right now, and it's been great. But it's definitely beneficial to them, and we ask that it be approved.
Thank you for your service.
Yeah, my pleasure.
And I wholeheartedly support Veterans Court. I've seen it do great work. Do you need more money?
Not right now.
Okay, because $650 does not seem like it's
I'll
a lot of money.
explain.
Okay.
Right now, and it has gone up every year, but right now it's $399.62 per case that we pay. So with us only sending essentially 1 per year since 2018, we haven't exceeded that.
Why is the number so low? Are we, not a lot of veterans are getting, not a lot of veterans are getting locked up? Or?
It's on a case-by-case basis. If they come to us and it's a misdemeanor charge, then either they request it or their attorney requests it. They are pretty aware of it, I think. We have pamphlets out there. We can't we can't, like, we do want them to know about it, but we can't make it seem like we're coercing them to do it, if that makes sense. We can't try to convince them to do it. It has to be something that they want to do. Because a lot of the programs with this, it is time consuming and it is a commitment on their part, so.
It's really successful. I've seen it work miracles.
Yeah, it has been very successful. I mean, there have been times where people have done it multiple times. The point is a lot of times we get people who have cases in multiple jurisdictions. So to be able to collaborate with them across, with us, Scottsdale, Carefree, Paradise Valley, because sometimes they have cases in each jurisdiction, and it is nice to be able to collaborate and kind of get them the help that they need so that they're not continuing the same, behavior.
Also, hello, and thank you. The cost to the town for this is, can you explain that a little bit, if there's a cost to the town for this? Or
Well, what we pay currently is, we've only paid as much as this last charge, which was $399.62, is what the courts paid. And that was this last quarter, so. But in 2018, we paid $105.18, and then in 2020, we paid $194.54.
that's an amazing resource to have.
For
It's-
sure.
And it's so beneficial to the veterans, so thank you very much.
Yeah, no problem.
So briefly, when I was at the attorney's office and state attorney, they had this program was kind of just starting up, and they also had drug court and some youth and some other things. Do we have those here in town yet, or?
Not quite yet. We are partnering with Tempe and trying to get the resources that they use for mental health court. But drug court, it's one of those things that we don't see too much of as of recently. In the past, it may have been an issue, but we haven't seen too much of it. It's more so on the needs of each individual court. There are certain jurisdictions that do require something like drug court. But right now, the court doesn't see that as a necessity. But if it was something that we needed, we would definitely address it. But mental health is something we are looking into. Judge Melton and I have had several discussions, and we've been talking to actually City of Tempe about their program that they have.
I appreciate that. Overall, these are courts that are to accommodate different issues for different populations.
Correct.
And they treat them all very fairly, and we really appreciate your doing that. Jerry?
Move to adopt Resolution 2022-13.
Thank you. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thanks. Thanks, Mike. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Okay, our next item is a possible reconsideration of Park Place. Grady?
Yes, John is here to give just a brief report on what this is about, and John, I'm sorry, our Development Services, John Wesley.
Mayor and Council, so as you recall, a couple of weeks ago, has it been that long already? The Council considered the site plan request for Park Place, which consists of buildings along the avenue, buildings E and F, Phase 2 of that development, and then also Phase 3, which is Building B, which is along Verde River at Paul Norden. At that time, the Council voted to deny the request. Since then, the applicant has come back noting that there were not a lot of questions or comments about Building B, and requested the Council to consider Building B by itself. So the first step to be able to do that would be for the Council to make a motion and approve a motion for reconsideration, and if that does pass, then I can come back and give a presentation on that particular site plan.
Thank you. Do we have any speaker cards or comments from the council? We can do speaker cards first.
I do have a speaker card from Ed Stizza.
Evening, Mayor, Council, staff. I've seen this on the agenda, and it just had one concern, as long as if you're going to approve this phase, that it doesn't apply to the rest of the project legally at all. So just a concern. I'm sure you guys have talked about that in an executive session, but hopefully you're making sure of that. And the second thing is, and I wish somebody would consider a different color than orange. It seems like we're, for the accent color, it seems like we're trading green for orange. So maybe the developer and builder would take that into consideration. But that's it. Have a great evening.
Thank you, Ed. Any comments? Mike, did you have anything, or any council have any comments?
No, I have nothing.
Thank you. So yeah, this was brought back to give council opportunity to reconsider if that was what they would like. So again, any discussion? No? Okay. How about a motion?
And Mayor, just to make sure that we're clear, if there is a motion to reconsider, a motion would be appropriate. If the council doesn't desire to consider, I don't know that a motion is necessary. Motion to not reconsider, I guess, would be the only thing we could do, but otherwise, it will just die.
Okay,
It's up to the council.
Councilman?
I guess to get it on the record, I'll move that we not reconsider the Park Place site plan.
Second.
Okay, so we'll just go ahead then with a vote. All right, all those in favor of not reconsidering the denial, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. I believe then the next, Aaron or Grady, the next item then is not on the agenda any longer?
Correct, Mayor.
Okay, thank you. So 8D is consideration of illuminated speed limit signs. Justin?
Madam Mayor, council members, prior to us getting started here, I would like to note this afternoon I noted that there was an error in my staff report. While the motion is correct, the estimate is approximately $2,500 less. So the motion is going to be correct in the amount of, allow me a moment. Correct. However, their estimate, again, was slightly reduced. $2,000. Up here on the big screen, we have the locations that were discussed and selected by a subcommittee to this elected body, which is the Committee for Pedestrian and Traffic Safety. It's important to note that while we've had these discussions, we also looked at all of the different options in regard to illuminated speed limit signs. We believe, based on the research and communication with the selected vendor, this is the best for the town of Fountain Hills. It is the latest in technology. It has incredible online and telephone support. It also, if we elect to exercise the option at a later date, has a cloud base. In the interim, what we will do is we just need to be within a few hundred feet of the sign with any one of our smart devices, and we can program it for numerous different messages. But more importantly, we can pull the data off of these. So as noted in the staff report, these signs will count traffic and also record their speed. We will be able to look at the 50 percentile and the 85 percentile. Thank you. Thank you. It should also be noted in other municipalities where this has been used, they have seen a reduction in the overall speed. Some of the numbers are up and some of them are down, but in the end, there is certainly a reduction in the overall travel speeds for those areas. Should also be noted that at this time, we are asking for permission to purchase and install 5. However, We would also ask permission to buy an additional 5 in this contract, which is the total amount for the $30,000. So we have those for future use because we anticipate the positive feedback from these will result in additional locations being selected and direction being provided to staff to install them. With that, if you have any questions about this, I will certainly answer them to the best of my ability.
Any questions from anyone? Do we have any speaker cards?
Ed Stizza.
I think he left. Did he say how he felt about it? No? Okay, thank you. Councilman?
Yeah, I met with Justin briefly yesterday, and I want to say that I guess it's, we have a roads committee, is that it? Is that what it's called?
A Pedestrian and Traffic Safety Committee.
That's what I said.
Correct.
I want to thank all involved because I think this is going to be a tremendous asset. You know, we've all complained a lot about speeding throughout town, and I think these will really help. And when you look at the statistics on the impact of these, it's almost startling. I'm glad we are putting up 5. I had mentioned to Justin that as I drive down Palisades, there are areas of Palisades where people are speeding all over the place. I suspect once we take a good hard look at it, we may want to put another 1 or 2 of these on Palisades. But I just want to thank Justin and council members who are involved with this.
Thank you. Councilwoman?
As you know, I'm a self-proclaimed nerd, so I love the idea of going with the ones that has data that you can upload. I'm a little disappointed we're not going to cloud-based, but I'm okay with driving by and loading up your phone like EPCOR does with our water meters. I think I'll be okay with that. My question is, one of the biggest complaints I get from people that actually use the crosswalk, not the people that claim that people don't use the crosswalk, but the people that use the crosswalk on Saguaro, why are we putting it further north on Saguaro? I kind of feel like we're people just speed through that crosswalk, and I've been there once every other Saturday for however many, like 3 months now, and they just speed through the crosswalk even if the lights are blinking. So part of me kind of wants to put it closer to the crosswalk just for the sake of slowing them down, even if the crosswalk lights aren't lit.
Madam Mayor, council member, if I may, while this map is not exact, in fact, it will be as you enter the safety corridor, which is the safety corridor beginning is just south of the crosswalk. So the proximity of this illuminated speed limit sign or that particular one will be very near that crossing.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions? Can I get a motion?
Okay, I move to authorize the purchase of 10 illuminated speed signs in the amount of, the correct amount of 30,000?
Yes.
410?
Correct.
From Centerline Supply, and for the staff to install the signs shown on the attached exhibit.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thanks. I think, Justin, you're up on the next one too, huh?
Thank you. Madam Mayor, council member, it's certainly well known that we work and struggle to provide pavement management and maintenance to the roads that we have here. Not only the current elected body and management and staff have faced this, but all of them since the beginning of incorporation. As we look towards less expensive solutions, we noted that some of our neighboring towns and cities had begun to use an old product with a new twist. Historically, chip seal was placed on a thin layer of asphaltic material and then rolled, and then the miscellaneous material swept from that. The challenge as a result of this through the 70s and 80s is that that little rock still continued to dislodge and cause damage to personal property, automobiles, and for those of us that ride motorcycles, shin damage. The new technology uses a very similar process. However, the base layer is a much thicker asphaltic, liquid asphalt that is placed on the existing surface after it's cleaned. And then the smaller rocks are laid on top of that. They're rolled into place, so they're far more secure than in past years. And then after that, a few days later, they come and place a cape seal on it. And in this case, the cape seal is going to be a type 2 polymer slurry. We believe, based on the positive outcome from Glendale and Florence and a few others, including the Maricopa County Transportation Department and even ADOT, that this is a low-cost solution to some of our roads that have exceeded their life, and they simply need to be rebuilt, and we don't have the funding mechanism in place to tackle that task at this point. We're asking tonight that you consider allowing us to proceed with this pilot program, and in the event that we have the same successful outcome as others, we would return at a later date to see if we can reduce some of our additional pre-incorporation local road backlog and keep them basically from turning into dirt roads while we search for long-term funding solutions.
Thank
With
you.
that, any questions? I'll do my best to answer
Questions,
them.
or do we have any speaker cards? No? Any questions from staff, from council? Mike, have anything?
No, nothing.
Thank you. So right now, those two areas, Chama, Primrose, are going to be like the pilot program?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Those two sections, we took the ad hoc pavement advisory committee out to look at those areas and others. And for those of you that have not had an opportunity, please take an opportunity to take a look at Chama. It is badly gatored, so that looks like the skin of a gator, but it also has numerous larger cracks and crevices. The good news is, while it's doesn't meet our subdivision standard for the base, it is a stable base. And so we don't have expansive soils under it, which is why we don't have the historically larger and deeper potholes after rain events. The more shallow delaminate is what we experience.
Thank you. Would someone like to make a motion? I can't find it now. Let's see.
Move to approve professional services agreement 2022-074 between the town of Fountain Hills and Cactus Transport, Inc., DBA Cactus Asphalt, in the amount of $209,473.72.
Thank you. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thanks, Justin.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Our last item is the legislative item that we always discuss. We have a kind of a summary at our table. We didn't really have anything new, right? It's kind of the same bills that we like or don't like. Some are dying, some are living. And, but if you want to take a look at that right now, or if you have anything in particular you'd like to mention, otherwise, I don't think there's any action or recommendations that we need to do right now. What? Yes?
Municipal zoning by right, housing, it says support, which I'm not sure I understand, except that maybe doing a study is one way of burying it. Do we have any more information on that?
No, Mayor and Council, my understanding of this proposed bill, although it's been a little while since I've actually turned my attention to it, is that it is a much more favorable replacement for the bill that was going to be really have negative adverse impacts for the town. And so the fact that this has been kind of kicked out into a study committee, et cetera, it's very good news.
Great, let them study it.
Thank you. So I think that's it. I don't really think there's anything else. Grady?
I was just going to say, the only downside is that we understand they're going to stack it with a lot of industry people and people that will probably not necessarily have like minds like municipalities. But anyways, it is a much better outcome, as the town attorney mentioned.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know why we're actually supporting it, and I didn't actually see that we were supporting it, but we'll, you know.
Right.
It's also kind of stalled a little bit right now, so maybe we won't have to worry about it at all. Anything for the good of the order or a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
All in favor? Aye. Thank you all.
Mike, have a great vacation.